So, and in more big things happened because in 1987, in the budget bill for 1988, there was money put to an alternative farming systems program. I think at the time in the legislation it was called low input sustainable agriculture. It was called several things along the way. Part of the appropriation was directed to the library. $100,000 was set aside to assist NAL in information provision on the subject. So that gave us our first big boost. The department, meanwhile, had been scrambling and putting together a very excellent, well thought out program to operate this LISA, what became known as the LISA program.
That's the acronym
short for low input sustainable agriculture.
Yes.
The first sort of conference or meeting, organizational meeting held in the department was January 1988. And NAL's associate director, who had been working very supportively behind the scenes, I was backing him up, and I went to the a meeting, and I was asked to give a small presentation about what we were already doing in the way of providing information on this subject. I'd been doing a bibliography on organic farming since 1980, updated annually, and answering questions, you know, from the vast collections of the library. So that kind of launched the LISA program, gave us enough money to begin to spread out a little bit and do more things. And so I was delighted in 1988 in the spring when I was able to bring you on as a temporary appointment for 6 months. And
well, I was certainly delighted to come. Could I, Jayne, before we leave
yes,
explanation or discussion of information centers, and just ask you if it isn't true that information centers do just much more than just specialize in an area by answering questions. They also are charged with doing outreach and helping to spread
absolutely
word. That's the main difference, as I understand it.
Yes, they're not just reactive. I hate the word, but they're proactive.
Yes.
And they one of their charges is to maintain relationships with their clientele and to find out exactly what people are wanting to know about and what the new trends are in the field. And it's a very active relationship with the audience.
And the other thing is that I want to be very clear about the role that the library's establishment of the center or your interest in organic farming and sustainable agriculture played in the funding that came about, because the fact that the library was already doing something must have impressed people enough.
I think it was one of the few things that the department was able to point out to congressional supporters as being already underway, since Dr. Junkerberg was no longer there and so forth. And so even though it was a very small thing, I think it did lead to someone's putting some money in that farm bill for us.
So January 1988 was the first, you were saying, the first meeting?
Yeah, there were representatives of all the agencies that could possibly be involved in a program, and Cooperative State Research Service, I'll call it CSRS after this, and Extension Service were given primary responsibility. Dr. J. Patrick Madden was hired as the first director. He was located in CSRS and under the supervision of Paul O'Connell.
Both of those men we have done interviews in the past, you and I, for this series, right?
Yeah, they were both movers and shakers who helped develop the program and get it through the department and through Congress and shaped it as the viable program that it is and continues to be.
And it was still being called LISA at that stage.
Yes, it was. Until, let me explain that the LISA program is essentially a grants program where research is into various alternative farming practices, and educational efforts are supported through competitive grants. And it's was designed to be administered on a regional basis for regional headquarters throughout the country, mostly in land-grant universities.
And that's worked well.
It has, and it's continued up through the present SARA program, which is an extension of LISA. Now,
SARE, S-A-R-E, meaning Sustainable Agriculture Research and
and Education.
Okay.
Exactly, yeah.